Well, hello, my Capricorn collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs. Welcome to your soulmate contract reading for February 2020, or timeless. Whenever you're supposed to watch it is when you are supposed to see it. I am your reader, Mark Angelo Lyons, Mal for short, president of Drawing the Circle Productions, professional witch, professional intuitive, and very honored to be serving any earth sign collective, particularly my Capricorns. I am a Virgo myself, so I'm very, very happy to serve. Cool. If you're new to my channel, please do like and subscribe. I'm getting closer and closer every day to that 1,000 subscriber mark, so I can do super live chat. I'm going to do Drunk Tarot. There's a link in the description box explaining what Drunk Tarot is. Believe me, I'm not pouring alcohol on my cards. I'm pouring it into myself and then reading. I explain in the video. I don't do it that often, like maybe once a year, but this is as a thank you for my subscribers getting me to 1,000. Let's get down to the business of this reading, though. Soulmate contract reads, right? It's a general, right? It's a general reading. It's not going to suit everybody 24/7, 365. Doesn't work that way. So please take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and by all means, please do check your other signs. That's why I do Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus signs, so that you get different aspects of information for the different planetary alignments that you have in different signs. I am a Virgo Sun, as I said, but I also have a Pisces Moon. So that's direct opposites. I was born on a full moon. So, of course, a Virgo reading is going to feel very differently to my Pisces Moon. Watch the Pisces Moon feels differently. You with me? Cool. Because this is a soulmate contract read. The bottom line of any soulmate contract is that you help each other heal, like regardless of, the form, whether it's, romantic or familial or work or a friend or an animal. Like like my cats, we're soulmates. We help each other heal in great big huge ways, right? Just that companion aspect of it, so lovely. But these are specific. These readings are about the sexual, intimate, romantic, happy, healthy, wealthy, wise contracts that we've been working on for thousands of years, right? Because it is the romantic, intimate, sexual ones that get under your skin, right? And in a way that family just can't, right? In a way that your boss or your coworkers just, even your friends can't really touch some of those spots deep in your soul the way a lover can. So that's why we're doing this, and we are going to look at it like a contract, because it is a contract, and different than twin flame. That's why I do the twin flame read separately. The foundation of the contract is totally different, but for the soulmate helping each other heal, we're going to look at the two parties as divine feminine and divine masculine. I would say divine yin, divine yang, but that's Eastern, dealing mostly with a Western audience here, and Western clients. So divine masculine, divine feminine seems to be what people want to call it, and that's fine by me. It is divine yin, divine yang, but that being said, it has nothing to do with bodily gender. It has to do with energetic dynamic, right? So please keep that in mind. If you're really, your job then is to figure out which party you are of the two, the divine masculine or divine feminine, but do that as intuitively as you can by the information that comes through. Like what's hitting you, not just here or here, but here, right? And a good way to do that is to focus on the breath as the reading goes on. I'm doing the same. Breath work is a huge part of my necessary spiritual practice. I did quit smoking. That's part of it. What's that, 4 months ago? I did in November, December, January, February. Yeah, man, 4 months. And then thank you. You're like, oh, that's so great. Thank you. But I've been doing breath work for emotional healing and mental clarity and cell detox for practically my whole career, which is rather long. But that being said, the more I am aware of my breath as I do the reading, the more I am in the present moment, the more I'm able to find the still point where the divine always is. And that's where these readings are coming from, on my end at least. So if you are tuning in to your breath and finding the still point throughout as well, you are tuning to the same divine in the present moment that I am. So you're getting the reading on a more internal way, where I am translating it to you through words and obviously cards. Cool. That's about it. Let's get down to business. I'm going to start with 2 of the Caroline Myss archetype cards to define who is the masculine, who is the feminine, at least in an archetypal energy format. All the decks I read are in the description box below at the bottom. I put it at the bottom so that you got to go look through all the other links because there's really cool stuff there. I wouldn't put crap in my description box. I'm a Virgo. You get me my caps. Cool. So I'll call out the other decks as I go. Let's get down to business. Nice deep breath. My collective pantheons. Oh, that felt so good. Please, my collective pantheons. 2 cards, 1 for the Divine Feminine, 1 for the Divine Masculine in this Capricorn collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign soulmate contract for February 2020 or timeless whenever they are supposed to watch it. Who is the Divine Feminine in this Capricorn contract? There she is, face down. I don't look at them until I flip them. Please, who is the Divine Masculine? Oh, he feels interesting. Just a little I was raised by a nursery school teacher. I am filled with sound effects as a result. I really should do voiceover work. You have 10,000 character voices. Ready? Talk about Legion. Who's our happy couple? Oh, but before I do this, remember archetypes are neutral. Written on the cards are both shadow and light attributes. Shadow is toxic. It's supposed to trigger you a little bit, but the light is what you're shooting for, and what the helping each other heal soulmate contract is helping. You're helping each other heal, right? So our Divine Feminine Beggar and our Divine Masculine Fool. Now, a very interesting couple. Both of these cards have come up in different readings. The Divine Feminine was definitely a masculine, and I think the Divine Feminine was definitely a fool. So it's interesting to have those roles reversed here. I don't think they were in the same reading necessarily. And the Beggar is not what you think, and neither is the Fool, and that's why I am going to go a little bit deeper on this than perhaps usual, so that you really get the meanings of this, that it's not, archetypes are so rarely exactly as it appears to be on the surface. So here with the Beggar archetype for the Divine Feminine, it is definitely one that elicits a shock, a reaction when it comes up. So let me read the shadow first and get that out of the way. The shadow attribute, dependence on others to the exclusion of effort. And we all can feel that. We can all feel like when people are like overly dependent and in a relationship codependent, but that means that they are unwilling to become dependent, to give themselves the loves, the acceptance, the approval to themselves that only they can give. Therefore, they're always going to be begging, for example, of attention. That it is rarely about the financial, but that, well, in a soulmate contract, one would think, but in life, sure, that can be for money, that can be for attention, that can be for love. There's the, when we beg, but there are aspects here of having to do the work of some kind, right? The shadow is to the exclusion of effort, so then that includes what is the effort in the light. Confronts empowerment at the level of physical survival, right? So it's empowering yourself to survive on the physical world, in the physical plane, awakens the spiritual authority of humility, compassion, and self-esteem. So think of the authority of humility, to know that you don't know, but that somehow there's a divine plan in all of this, and you don't know what it is, but you're willing to be shown, and you're willing to do the work, whatever the divine would have you do. That elicits compassion, because if you know, if you're going through that, everybody else is on some level, and therefore higher, healthier estimation of yourself as a being. So for the Divine Feminine, that's really, really, really wonderful in the light, but all the shadow is toxic. I believe the Beggar is the wild card family, although there is something divine about it, because there have been beggars throughout history, right? So it's a very ancient archetype, and there's something about masters appearing as beggars, right, to teach lessons. So there's something interesting and deeper there than just, I ain't got no money. Can you give me a dime? Brother, can you spare a dime? Because the divine masculine here is the fool. Now, this is not the idiot. The fool actually has a place in the royal system, right? The king, the queen, the prince, the princess, the knight, the courtiers, and the fool, the one who can speak truth to the king without getting his head cut off, right? And very alive and well today, the fool archetype, and interestingly enough, a masculine family archetype for a masculine family, a masculine soul contract. You know what I mean. The shadow attribute, using humor to wound rather than liberate. We deal with that all the time. I don't mind it so much when it's on stage. I mean, Bianca Del Rio, fucking insult comic. I fucking adore her, right? Using humor to wound rather than liberate is probably not her goal. I don't think she intentionally wants to hurt people, but that's her act, right? Denial of your emotional truth. So also, using humor to deny what you're actually feeling, right? Something in the shadow you want to like push away, denial. But the light attribute, fearlessly revealing emotion, right? Total 180, helping people laugh at absurdity and hypocrisy, which I think a lot of our political comedians do that, regardless of which side of the aisle. But even like last time this card came up in the reading, I think I did yesterday, it was very much like, I will never laugh at someone else's pain or suffering, but for my own. To see how ridiculous it was like, I can't believe did you see that? This is ridiculous, right? So that's how I know that things are healing. May not be completely healed, but when I can really look back and go, what the fuck was that all about? What was I thinking, right? Where instead of, oh, I can't believe I did that, right? That there's a healing there. At the absurdity of life. And there is something about fifth dimensional consciousness, right? Unity consciousness, where you see the hypocrisy and the ridiculousness of what we go through in this world for love in particular, right? So you may not know who you are yet, right? The divine feminine or the divine masculine, even if you're like concrete, I am always the divine masculine, you might not be sure, don't worry. We've got 5 cards coming from the Daughters of the Moon Tarot. Element spread we're going to do for her, for the divine feminine, and for the divine masculine. 5 cards from the Mythic Tarot. Same thing, element spread, fire, earth, air, water, spirit. You'll hear it as I go through it. Nice deep breath, please. Here we go. My goddesses, please. 5 cards, top of the deck for this divine feminine beggar archetype. I hear you. For this Capricorn collective, sun, moon, rising, Venus sign, cards all over the table. Yeah, no, I felt that. That beggar archetype. I can feel it. My goddesses, please. So top 5 cards, element spread, fire, earth, air, water, spirit. Top 5 cards for this divine feminine beggar archetype. In this Capricorn collective, sun, moon, rising, Venus sign, soulmate, contract, happy, healthy, wealthy, wise, sexual, intimate, romantic soulmate contract for February 2020, timeless and beyond. Please, top 5 cards. Thank you very much, my goddesses. Let's get a nice clean cut on this one, please. Maiden. Nope, that's the top card. That's why I like clean cuts. Didn't get one that time. Maiden, mother, crone. That's what I mean by a hanger. If it jumps, it jumps. That's how we play this game. All right, she's going over there. Let's have a look. Element of fire. What does she want? Well, what she wants is the 10 of Pentacles. What she wants is that stability. What she wants is the harvest, her family, all the seeds that she has planted, to be surrounded by people that she loves. Now, understanding for the beggar archetype, she ain't got that, right? But wants that. That 10 of Pentacles, that completion of the cycle of Earth, that feeling of not just physical, financial wealth, but also the support of friends and family, everybody bringing their piece to the table, right? That wholeness, WHOLENESS, would make sense for that beggar archetype. Probably she would cry tears of joy as that it manifests in front of her. What's her element of earth? The wax and wick that feeds the candle flame, to use metaphor. If that's her fire, this is her earth. The card of the universe, Shakti, the life dancer that she is at the end of a cycle, a major arcana cycle. We'll start again at the Fool. Well, the Fool is technically the in-between space, the 0, and then step into the card of the Magician in this deck, the Witch. Which is gender neutral. I just always have to say that, but it is drawn as a woman in this deck, so we're just going with that. Shakti, look up the goddess Shakti. I mean, there's a whole, like, Shaktipat and energy. There's a whole... She's a goddess, right? A whole lot about Shakti you might want to look at. But since it is the ending and the preparation of a new beginning at the end of a cycle here. So what's interesting, with the Ten of Pentacles, an end of a cycle. So definitely at the end of some cycle here for this Divine Feminine Beggar, and that feels like it's a good thing. She wants that because she's there. So there might be a bit of an intuitive click, right? What is she thinking about all of this? Second major arcana card, the Chariot. Really thinking about taking the reins, right? Taking the reins, bringing yourself into balance, moving forward as who? The Amazon, right? A bit of a warrior energy there. Perhaps enough is enough. She's at the end of this cycle, and now there's a major, major, major shift in her thinking about taking action. Yes, she is carrying a shield there of the crescent moon. That is the waxing crescent, the virgin crescent. But also, there is very much a fierce warrior energy here. The waxing crescent is the virgin, the maiden aspect. So there is that can very much be the fury in order to take your opposite opposing points of view or motivations and drive them together. Like, I want to, but I'm afraid to. It's like, fuck it, we're doing it, right? It feels like enough is enough for her, something going on here. She's tired of begging, perhaps begging for truth, begging for answers, begging for time, right? What's going on here in the emotional field? Interesting, a fire sign court card, Sagittarius, which really talks about mutable desire. Her desires are really affecting her emotionally, so we've got a good balance of fire and water there, which is not the easiest of elements to balance, because, you know, fire can evaporate water and water can extinguish fire. So there's something here about that hunter thing. Like, she's kind of feeling like, okay, I'm not going to sit back and beg. I am going to actualize, I'm going to act on my desires, but she's feeling them out right now, right? It's an emotional thing. You could say this is a precursor. They're giving me the words motivation before action, right? So the hunter, right? It's like sharpening the arrowheads and getting things in the quiver, so to speak, stringing the bow. Like, I'm feeling this. I'm going to go out. I'm not going to beg anymore. I'm going to estimate myself higher. I'm going to see myself as a divine being in form, and I'm going to get what I want. May not actually have done it yet. Right? Ten of Pentacles is what she wants. That would be the harvest of the hunt, so to speak. Sagittarius being the hunter sign, right? Mutable fire, the archer. So let's see what's going on from the point of view of the spirit, which is the voice of the soul. Third major arcana, 3 out of 5, the star. So there is a lot of hope and a lot of spiritual growth here and a lot of spiritual inspiration, not just motivation. Now, inspiration and motivation are not the same thing in my opinion, because motivation can come from fear, but inspiration is supposed to come from love. However, you can be inspired to punch someone in the face, to slit someone's tire, to put sugar in their gas tank, to do all sorts of shit. That's more motivation, right? You're motivated to do it because of some toxic anger, fear, or emotion going on. I might need to get myself a sip of water. Be right back. I apologize for that. I've got central heating, and so the air is drying out, even though I've got a humidifier going, so that's right there. So, interesting for the Divine Feminine. Let's do the same for our Divine Masculine Fool archetype. Cool, cool? Breathe. Yeah, there's something about that Divine Feminine with the star card. The guidance, the grace, not just wishing upon a star, but really aligning herself to a higher frequency. And really, the star card for me is very much about unity consciousness, right? That we all come from the Big Bang, right? The great star that exploded, so to speak. So let's do this with the voices of the Divine Masculine, the gods. Nice deep breath. Still point. My gods, please. Top 5 cards, element spread, fire, earth, air, water, spirit. For this divine masculine fool archetype in this Capricorn collective sun, moon, rising, Venus sign, soulmate contract for, yeah, sun, moon, rising, Venus sign, soulmate contract, February 2020, or timeless. Top 5 cards for this divine masculine fire, earth, air, water, spirit. Thank you very much. Sun, Father, Sage. Great. Lovely. Wonderful. Cool, cool. Let's have a look. All right, you fool. You divine masculine fool. Keep in mind, alive and well on the planet, and no one funnier, right? You point out hypocrisy, make you laugh your ass off at yourself. Brilliant. What does he want? Well, he wants the moon. Now, we all need to shoot for the moon every now and again, but that's not the meaning of this card. This is Hecate. This is the goddess of the moon, technically an elder titan, but, you know, depends on who you read mythologically, goddess of the crossroads. But we're talking about here a deeper intuition. Otherwise, people interpret this card as, oh, it's a time where things are obscured, the truth is not seen, cloudy. Well, that's true intellectually, but intuitionally, there is a depth of emotion and intuition here that the fool might be really picking up on and wanting to know, what is this feeling? What is this feeling? And that can be a very strong magnetic pull, just like the moon pulls the tides of the ocean, the ebb and flow, the wax and wane of it all. Really, this feeling of being magnetically drawn towards this divine feminine might be like, what is this? What is this that I am feeling? Well, how can he get in touch with that element of fire? Let's look at his element of earth, the fuel that feeds the fire. King of Cups, the Cancerian card, to get in touch with his own intuitive, emotional moon energy, because the sign of Cancer is ruled by the moon. So there's something here about his own maturity in terms of his emotion. Now you could say maybe he's got a Cancerian in his life, sun, moon, rising, who cares, some planet somewhere. But ultimately, yes, if that is a counselor or someone who's working with them emotionally, emotional process healing work, all sorts of things, regardless, there's something there that he already has, some emotional intelligence, there's a good word, some emotional experience, some emotional wisdom there to help him go deeper. Because the fool can, you know, well, like think of stand-up comics, they got to read the room. I mean, that's an intuitive process. You can tell in the first 30 seconds whether the room is hostile or not, right? So there's something there in this of really having to negotiate this in a mature way, a King of Cups, Orpheus with that heart there, that perhaps some emotional creativity is necessary on his part, maybe to do some journaling, some writing, to get his feelings out on paper, allowing them mature and age a little bit before acting on them. For element of earth, that's pretty cool. What's his element of air? What he thinking? Well, it's possible that these two have known each other before. We've got the Six of Cups, definitely a card of nostalgia, but a card of emotional balance as well. But this is in the mind, right? The element of air. So my sense of this is, just even touching the card, that there is something, I love this word, wistful going on here. Now, if it's not about this divine feminine, if they absolutely have not met in the physical world just yet, then this is about looking over your shoulder at past relationships with longing, right? That feeling, the emotional part of it. Oh, how we used to walk on the beach. Oh, how beautiful it was, you know. I can still recall our last summer. I still see it all. I just abbed you. So keeping that in mind, the Six of Cups on his mind, what's going on in the emotional field, the element of water. Two of Swords, back and forth, not necessarily indecision, but that thing of analysis, inability. Well, this is like a really horrible looking card here, because it's two people with swords crossed with someone in the middle going, I don't want to do this anymore, right? So for a two, that's a little extreme, but I get it. There's this thing here then of the mind going back and forth again, like, what is this emotional stuff going on here? I feel there may be a what's that word you're giving me? A confluence of emotion. Sometimes emotion can obscure intuition. I've said this a lot. I really wish people understood emotion and intuition are not the same thing, because you can have an emotion about a gut feeling. I'll give you an example. You're with somebody that you're really attracted to and you love, and you get this gut feeling that they're hiding something, and you're like, oh no. Well, the oh no is the emotion. The gut feeling is an intuitive hit of some kind. So the mind might be fighting what's being felt here, and the mind might really be comparing everything to the past through nostalgia and wistfulness. What's the voice of the soul, the position of spirit? Well, the voice of the soul is saying Six of Swords. Take the healing journey in terms of psychology, the mind, balance the mind, because we've got the Six of Cups, feeling very wistful, saying use an actual mental process of some kind to ferry yourself from the more choppy waters to more calm and still waters. That could be prayer, that could be meditation, but definitely something in the mind. So an interesting combo. We have only one major arcana card, but it's the moon, which is definitely connected to the element of water. Two water signs, the King of Cups, which says that he has the emotional wisdom and the maturity to do this for sure, or at least someone in his life that can help him do that, who has that sort of experience and emotional wisdom. But in the mind is really kind of trying to balance out the emotions, deal with, cope with the nostalgia feelings of the past, while really perhaps analyzing and cutting up and looking at every single aspect of every single impulse and feeling mentally. But the soul is saying it is the journey of the Six of Swords, to go into calmer seas by the healing and at least balancing of the mind. So you should have a pretty good idea who you are at this point, because these are two very, very different people. Let's keep going though. We're going to clarify with the Healing with the Angels Oracle, Doreen Virtue. One card each to see what are the spiritual powers, the angels that are walking with them for their own healing and for the healing of this relationship, right? You'll see what I mean. Nice deep breath. My angels, please. Two cards, one for the Divine Feminine, one for the Divine Masculine in this Capricorn Collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign soulmate contract for February 2020, timeless and or beyond. Please, one for the Divine Feminine, what is the healing angel that walks with her? And one for the Divine Masculine, who is the healing angel that walks with him. Remember, we're not talking about bodily gender. I have to keep remembering to say that. She's got the angel of study, all right? So there is definitely a learning curve here for her, but remember, there's a specific amount of study, depending on what you're studying, like a study in Greek pottery, right? You know, one Grecian urn, right? Definitely about a focus there, something being learned. So whatever it is, the lesson that she's in, she's being given some grace there, because it is something that she really has to study, kind of put her mind to. And it feels like with the Amazon in that, it is, she's going to. But remember, 3 out of 5 major arcana cards, a spiritual lesson, no question. And I was feeling for that beggar that there was something a bit more spiritual going on here, and I think I even said so. So who's the angel for the Divine Masculine? The guardian angel, which really is the higher self, the higher power over watching, getting him through this. This fool is being inspired through all of this emotion. He may not enjoy it, he may not like it, he may not even want to be aware of it, he may be overthinking the fuck of it to try and escape the emotional pain, perhaps of loss, of grief, of looking backwards to better times. But that this is all about his own, not just personal healing, but his own ability to help someone else heal. The higher self is the spirit that animates the soul, and it's the soul that incarnates into the body, plays the role of the human being that we identify ourselves erroneously as, because the truth of who we are doesn't die. And ultimately, we're not really human, but we're playing a human role, right? We are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. I didn't come up with that. Can you believe? Heard that forever. So let's keep going. What else is going on here? We are going to use the Chuck Spezzano Love Pack that I have divided into 2 different decks. One is the problem suit, literally half the deck, to get an idea of what each of them is the problem that they're dealing with currently within themselves, the problem that they're bringing to the relationship, because everybody's got them. The other deck's sort of the remedy, the antidote, if you will, the suits of luck, healing, and grace, right? So they'll get one of those 3. So let's get the 2 problems out of the way. Nice deep breath. Oh, my Ascended Masters. One more, please. That was lovely. Still point. My Ascended Masters, you come with so much love today. 2 cards, one for the Divine Feminine, one for the Divine Masculine in this Capricorn Collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign. I know, slow and steady wins the race. I'll get through this. But please, one for the Divine Feminine, what's the problem she's bringing in? And one for the Divine Masculine, what's the problem that he's bringing in, dealing with, etc. Right, we're just going to put those in place, still face down, because I want to get the luck, the healing, or the grace for each of them. Breathe. My Ascended Masters, same thing, same contract. What is the luck, the healing, the grace for this Divine Feminine Beggar archetype in this Capricorn Soulmate contract? And what is the luck, the healing, or the grace for this Divine Masculine Fool in this Capricorn Collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign Soulmate contract, February 2020, etc., etc., etc. Ready? What's her problem? What's your problem? Manipulation. Now, what's the shadow attribute here? Dependence on others to the exclusion of effort. Takes some manipulation to get away with that, right? Because sooner or later someone is going to say, fucking do this, you know, make your life better. Now, again, that makes sense financially, but what about when someone is using their emotional suffering to get over? It happens. It's called Woundology. Wonderful book by Caroline Myss. Why people heal and why people don't heal and how they can. It was such an eye-opener. Came out right after Anatomy of the Spirit, pretty much. But it can also mean that she has been manipulated, right? That people who manipulate have been manipulated. They learned it somewhere, right? So maybe she's carrying the wounds of manipulation as a result, you know. Has been, maybe that's what got her into this beggar state, is by being manipulated. What's the problem for the Divine Masculine Fool? He's got doubts. And then that would explain a lot of the emotionality with that 2 of Swords back and forth in the emotional field, and needing the journey of the 6 of Swords, right? That journey by water, so to speak, to balance the mind, to go from turbulent to calm waters. That makes a lot of sense, particularly with that Moon card, because the Moon can be obfuscating, right? Can be a little confusing and can cause doubts. But he has the emotional maturity to deal with this, so I'm liking that. So for this Divine Feminine with manipulation, she's got the luck card of tenderness, right? So that this is somebody who's not being harsh with herself or others. She kind of gets that things need to change. And keep in mind, those major arcana cards, my eye keeps going towards the Amazon and the mind. It's like she's thinking about this. There is a real strong desire and capacity to take responsibility for what's going on in her life. But I feel like the wounds of manipulation there are a problem, that she might not know who to trust. Or she's literally pulling her own, metaphorically pulling her own strings in all of this, which would usually be considered a good thing unless it's to keep her dependent to the exclusion of action. And sometimes our own fears can manipulate us in that way. I mean, I'm feeling the spiritual lesson that she is in. Remember, her angel is the card of study, right? The healing angel of study. So there is a lesson here that she's going to have to learn about how to maybe manipulate herself. prayer, meditation, yoga, all that kind of stuff to help her fortify her own self. Where he's got doubt, he brings in the grace of happiness. So that's interesting. Well, it would make sense with the Fool too, that he's able to make people laugh, most likely. Yes, can be derisive in his humor here, there, as sometimes just you're in a bad mood. Fool's comics have that ability to belt them out fast without thinking of them. No edit button, and we like comics like that ultimately, but not when it's pointed at us. So there's something here about the happiness that he brings to people. Though I have to say, I know a handful of stand-up comics semi-personally. I have some as clients, and it's like, it's hard. It's a really, really hard life. So the happiness that they bring, hopefully they bring to themselves as well, because it's a rough life. But then again, this need not be obviously a stand-up comic, but that idea of the Fool, of exposing emotions, right? Fearlessly sharing their emotions in that way, probably is better at the happiness with that, but with the wistfulness and bringing it all into balance, that might be something they play a little bit closer to the chest. Cool. All right, we've got 3 more cards down that are going to really add some healing energy here. The Whispers of Love Oracle, which I'm calling for the voices of the higher selves of all involved. One for her, one for him. Love this deck. Really comes right out and says sometimes exactly what you need to do. Cool. So let's take a nice deep breath and do this. Oh, still point. Higher selves of all involved, please. 2 cards. Whispers of Love Oracle cards. One for the Divine Feminine, one for the Divine Masculine in this Capricorn collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign soulmate contract for February 2020, timeless or beyond, please. One for the Divine Feminine from her higher self, one for the Divine Masculine, who's center of the deck, from his higher self. By the way, they did say the slow and steady wins the race. That is normal to Capricorn, is very much here in this study card, and is very much the advice from the guardian angel, the higher self here. Slow and steady wins the race. You'll get there, even though she's chomping at the bit with that. I mean, I know she's got the star. She's being guided. The soul is calling her forward, and she's at the end of the cycle there with the universe card. But what's really dominant in her mind is that Amazon, really getting her shit together and moving forward. So what is the voice of her higher self? I love you. These are very important words. It's what it says on the card, and I know it because the card is the same on both sides except for the border color, right? I love this card. I love you. These are very important words. These are healing words. When you say them to yourself, when you say them to your emotions, I love you. Talk to your heart chakra like it's the inner child. I learned that from Matt Kahn. We're using his deck at the end. Really, check out his stuff. I love you. I love you. If you watch Matt Kahn, you know exactly what I just did, right? So for the Divine Masculine here, look to your inner strength. You are stronger than you realize, and I feel like that's this King of Cups. He's got immense emotional strength, but you know that humor can often obfuscate, right? Help him repress and not deal with those feelings, but really does have the strength of character, inner strength, strength of the soul to make this balance happen, right? So that he can help himself heal, help her heal, and help her heal him, right? She might feel like she has nothing to offer. Not true. Really, really feeling that that is not true. But he needs to look to his inner strength. You're stronger than you realize, Divine Masculine. You don't need to keep laughing this stuff off. You can actually withstand feeling what's there to be felt. Our last card down will be 1 card. 1 healing mantra from the healing mantra deck by Matt Kahn. One side of the card is the mantra itself. The other side of the card is the name of the mantra, so I can look it up in that little book, and what's written in that little book is pretty cool, because otherwise it's just the mantra and the name of the mantra written on the card. So it's good that there's a book. Nice deep breath. Oh, my Ascended Masters, that felt good. Please. 1 card. What is the ultimate, perfect, necessary healing mantra for this Capricorn collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign soulmate contract, satisfying, sexual, intimate, romantic. Oh, I feel that contract. I feel the love these two, if they do not have for each other yet, they will. Oh, there's a lot here. There's a lot of depth here. I could feel that, please. So what is their ultimate healing mantra here for this soulmate contract, February 2020, or timeless, whenever they're supposed to watch this? The name of the mantra is grounding my energy. I love this one. It's safe to be in my body. It's safe to be in my body, both to confront the empowerment of physical survival as well as to feel the emotions. It is safe to be in my body. Grounding my energy. Let's read you from the book. Oh, opened right to it. Been doing that a lot lately, but yeah, that's the quantum. Grounding my energy. It is safe to be in my body. When your energy is grounded, earth sign, by the way, Capricorn, you are no longer wrestling with the pain of the past or chasing after potential outcomes. It feels like she's more dealing with the pain of the past, wrapping up that cycle with that card of the universe, Shakti, the life dancer, and he might be a little bit more trepidatious about the future. Instead of that, you dare to demonstrate your very best attributes and qualities, no matter how you are perceived or received by others. Easier for the fool, certainly, than the beggar. With your energy grounded, your mind can relax as your body becomes a more enjoyable environment to inhabit. That sounds really lovely for both of them. So slow the roll, right? Breathe. It is safe to be in the body. This mantra is ideal for replacing compulsive thoughts, probably more the divine masculine than the divine feminine here, although she does have the Amazon in the mental field. Releasing addictive behavior, it's across the board for everybody, and finding stability. Both of them probably need that, but definitely more the divine feminine beggar archetype. Let me magic clap you into the overview. We'll see what else pops up. Here we go. Magic clap. We've got the divine feminine beggar archetype in the shadow. Dependence on others to the exclusion of effort. The soulmate contract moving her into the light attribute. Confronting empowerment at the level of physical survival. Awakens the spiritual authority of humility, compassion, and self-esteem. And we see for what she wants, that Ten of Pentacles, she wants that stability, that grounding my energy mantra really does point to being safe within the body, having the happiness, the wealth, the support, and particularly it feels like the family of friends who get her. Now what she's got to help her get that in her element of earth is Shakti, the life dancer, really wrapping up something, and it feels like wrapping it up successfully. And with that study card right above it, yes, the learning is ongoing on the path for all of us. That never kind of ends as long as we are in bodies. But to get that, there is perhaps an end of a particular chapter in the textbook, so to speak. Yet in her mental field, she's got the Amazon, really wanting to get her shit together mentally, right? Like thinking about it, like how do I bring together my exhaustion with the need to get things done? Like that's a big Amazon chariot card kind of thing, because there is that emotional component there referenced in the crescent moon shield, right? An emotion that is building the emotional momentum to move forward and get something done. And in her emotional field, we have the Sagittarius card, mutable fire. So there's a lot of things that she wants, which makes sense for a beggar archetype. I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. But it feels like with that card of the star kind of really illuminating the angel card of study there, that she's learning about her self-esteem. She's learning that she can actualize, that she can be self-actualizing and not so dependent upon other people, places, and things to give her, for example, permission. Yes, we can absolutely beg for permission to do the things that we ourselves can only give ourselves permission to do, like to dream for something better, to self-actualize, to motivate, and to inspire oneself. Keeping in mind that she's been manipulated or has been manipulative, and really I don't see how you get away with one without the other. That is the problem that she's dealing with, but carries with her, she's very lucky that she's got that tenderness, right? That she is able to be more gentle with things. So this, even in her Amazon approach here mentally, something that she's going to think about, probably temper with that card of the star, that guidance, that grace, that higher power calling her forward with hope, will soften this and tenderize her, an interesting way of saying that, my guides. But the higher self really enforcing, I love you. These are very important words, and it feels like it's something that she needs to say to herself, right? To not be begging, people-pleasing, so that people say it to her. She really needs to be saying that to herself from the higher self, saying that to her constantly. She needs to say that for herself. Jumping across the table to the Divine Masculine Fool archetype, using humor to wound rather than liberate, denial of your emotional truth, moving into the light attribute, fearlessly revealing emotion, helping people laugh at absurdity and hypocrisy. And that does make sense with that happiness card of grace there at the bottom, that he probably really can make her laugh considering all that she has been through. I do get the feeling she's been through hell, but then again, everybody plays the fool sometimes, so has he. Looking at his element of fire here, he's got the card of the moon, so he really, really wants that emotional, intuitive thing to be sort of resolved for him. There might be some emotional confusion, but I think underneath that there is a strong magnetic intuitive pull towards this divine feminine, which does not make sense to him, right? He might be more divine masculine, more mental than emotional, but yet we have the King of Cups in his earth position. And if that does not represent him, that represents somebody who is mature emotionally, perhaps a counselor, a guide, a good friend, a mentor of some kind that can help him through this, or that is his own latent emotional maturity that he has just not embraced yet. Because in his mind is this Six of Cups, this reflective looking back at the past, nostalgia, maybe feeling mentally a bit not in the present moment, right? More hemorrhaging to the past. And I did say before with that card of grounding my energy that she was doing that, but now looking at the Six of Cups, it might be him that's more lost in the past than being in the present moment. She might be way more focused on the future. So it's probably a mix of both for both. But then jumping to that Two of Swords in his emotional field, the position of water, that there's a lot of thinking going on here. I wouldn't go so far as to say of the Eight or possibly the Nine of Swords, but definitely that analysis back and forth, not exactly sure how he feels about this, because the mind is in the past as well as interpreting things perhaps emotionally in the present through what has been, not what actually is, and then reflexing up to that Six of Swords in the soul position. The sword is saying, hey, meditate, pray, balance yourself out, get your head together, counseling, therapy, something to move from the more choppy emotional waters of confusion into the clarity of peace of mind, right? Take that water journey for the benefit of the mind. Get into the present moment. Focus on your breath, right? Good way to do it, not the only way to do it. And the angel that he's walking with is the guardian angel, the higher self. So this is about integrating his own higher self, his own ego being not just undone, but absorbed, right? Integrated. His aspects of his personality, of this fool, will be very helpful for him in healing, as long as he keeps it in the healing space for himself, at least, and hopefully for this divine feminine, because it feels like he has a lot of happiness to give here, though he has his doubts. Now, those doubts about this relationship, well, if someone's a beggar, and I can understand a literal beggar, there would be some doubts there, but I don't get that she's a literal beggar on the street, this divine feminine, as much as I'm getting that he has doubts about his ability to deliver here, regardless of whatever shape or form she may be in, financially or emotionally or mentally or spiritually, although spiritually it feels like she's going through it with this lesson, but one that is definitely bringing her to a higher destiny with that card of the star. Looking finally here in his spread, look to your inner strength. You are stronger than you realize, divine masculine fool. So take the journey indicated by that Six of Swords in the star, in the soul position, the point of view, the voice of the soul. Take that. That's really your soul moving you forward to a deeper strength than you've ever had before to endure this. And because this relationship feels like it's worth it, considering the mantra, grounding my energy. It is safe to be in my body. So even for a beggar, there's healing and movement here for her. She's safe to be in her body. The divine masculine fool here, there's this emotional confusion and probably this happiness that wants to express himself, probably is very attracted with that card of the moon. That might be what's confusing him, doesn't understand why he's so trying to figure it out. This is a soulmate contract. Really the ability here that if he can just stay in the moment, pull himself out of the past, and really feel safe in his own body, they will both be able to come together and help each other heal in a very specific way for each other. There you have it, my Capricorn collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs. A very, very powerful contract here with lessons and guardian angel and confusion, but something even if they have not met yet, when they do, then they are certainly being prepared for a deeper emotional, fulfilling, definitely a fulfillment of the physical as well as the emotional aspects of an intimate, sexual, romantic soulmate contract. Cool, cool. May the Capricorn collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs be blessed with all that they need in their soulmate contracts for February 2020, that they may grow, that they may heal, that they may feel safe in their own bodies and with each other, fulfilling their roles in the divine plan and the soulmate contract for the well-being of all. And so it is. So mote it be. Thank you for watching, my Capricorns. Please do like and subscribe. As I said, I'm getting closer and closer to my goal. Gonna keep going, really enjoying this work, and you know how that is as creative earth, right? Creative earth sign, immutable earth sign. Gotta keep moving, but gotta keep creating. So I do thank you so much for your love and support, and of course for watching. As I sign off, wishing you the very best and the very blessed. Hail. Farewell, and blessed, blessed, blessed be.